Revolution, eh? Revolution, eh? We want to do something before we go. Revolution, eh?
The whole country has come to realization that the IG is illegal. Every other illegal senior officer in the police has been forced to resign.
Exactly.
We have one more to go, Inspector General of Police. For your information, the governors in Nigeria are the reason why the value of the naira is always in the toilets.
Some 16 soldiers, according to this information out there, were arrested as a result of something like that, coup. And there's a brigadier general that is like the most senior officer amongst the 16 soldiers or officers that were arrested. And the military tried to deny it. Of course, you don't expect them to say yes, that it was a coup. They give us a story that they failed an exam or something. And I begin to worry. It baffles me where we hear somebody being arrested for failing an exam, right? So the point is, we have some officers that are out there, try to see how to topple government, whether we like it or not. And the reasons for them thinking in that direction is, are we really seeing what is expected in the democracy that we are practicing? Are we seeing the dividends of democracy out there? The insecurity issues are on the rise, whether we like it or not. The insecurity challenges, banditry, terrorism, kidnapping for ransom, all started in this Fourth Republic, this democracy that we are practicing. So a lot comes to mind. But the fact is, it is within the president's right to appoint. And it's still within his right to say, okay, we don't want your service anymore. So
now can we say the presidency actually swallowed its vomit, let me put it in African way, because when the rumor got out there, there was statement and counter statements and then affirmation. The military, of course, as you rightly said, they said these people failed exams and you are a security expert. And many people kept asking questions. Was there any time simply because people failed exams and then they expressed this affection that, okay, I failed exams, that you now pack them and then put them in that room or something like that? Now, what do you think? The military hierarchy now. You mentioned that Musa has at least one more to be there. Why him? And then why returning Oluwede, who was Chief of Army Staff, then elevating him to the rank of Chief of Defense Staff?
Now, that's the way I said. It's within the rights of the president. And of course, the president will look out for some officers that he has confidence, right? Don't forget that there's this rumor out there that there was a planned coup and all that. So perhaps he has lost confidence in CG Musa, General. CG Musa is from the north, he's from Kaduna State. And of course, from my findings, I discovered that the 16 officers were mostly from the north, right? So I think the president has lost confidence in CG Musa, and the other service officers, I think they became a victim of circumstance, if you ask me, right? Because he must look for people that he trusts, right? The current CJS is from the southwest. He's a Yoruba man from Ekiti.
He's from Ekiti. That is Olu.
Yes. He's from Ekiti. Okay. He's from Ekiti, and we have the head of the DSS. He's also a Yoruba man. So the president, perhaps he's looking at people that are trustworthy, that are very loyal, that can stand for him anywhere in the event where some young officers or senior officers are thinking outside the box. If you see the statement from the president, he emphasized on the current service chiefs should deepen professionalism, talked about vigilance, and also talked about unity within the armed forces, right? So it means that there are some disgruntled officers that are not perhaps happy with the status quo, right? And they are trying to express their grievance in that direction. So for him to emphasize talking about professionalism, talking about vigilance, and also talking about unity within the armed forces, then something must be up and doing. And as the head of state, as the president, of course, you know that he gets security briefings, right? So he got the privileged information why he had to do what he needed to do. And bringing Oloyede to come and be the chief of defense staff, it's not surprising because of the kind of politics we practice here. You must have a trusted ally, somebody that can stand for you to see that those kind of stories that we hear are better handled and tackled rather than seeing it coming out the public space.
And when I said they swallowed what they poured out, when the military countered earlier stories that there was nothing like coup, even attempt or whatever, one of the ministers in the administration said they stand by the statement
of the military,
that everything is fine. Do you think this can erode confidence among the citizenry to say, after all, why are they not being transparent in their utterances.
Yes, you see, it's expected. They must come up with statements that they will try to say how to save their face, and save the image of the armed forces and that of the government that we are seeing. Whether we like it or not, at that level, politics is also being played, right? So statements like that will come out. But the truth is that there is no smoke without fire. With this reshufflement that the president has done.
Barely a week.
Barely a week, yes. So it goes to show that something was there that have caused this reshufflement. And just like a witch cry in the night and a baby dies in the morning, it's not left for you to begin to see what caused the death of the baby.
Is it domino effect? What we are seeing now in Nigeria. Earlier you said, okay, we had Niger, we have Burkina Faso, we have Mali, we have Madagascar. Is it the rot or disaffection is permeating the whole of African continent?
You see, unfortunately, we have the African Union that is out there. We have the ECOWAS that is also out there. Who are members of the African Union and the ECOWAS? It is these countries that find themselves in the region. The African continent, all countries within the African continent are members of the AU. When it comes to the ECOWAS, of course, you know that the countries from the Western Bloc are members of the ECOWAS. Who are members that represent each of these countries in this very
strategic?
It's the president. When it has to do with the decision making at that level, it is also still the president. So when we see a country that is failing to provide the dividends of democracy, that you see signs or features of bad governance, for instance, when you are deceitful, when a government is deceitful to her citizens, when you're not telling the citizens the truth, that is a symptom or feature of bad governance, if you don't. When you are not accountable, when you're not transparent, these are features of bad governance. And this is what we see. The presidents of these countries within the African states, you see them, they go to represent their countries at the AU, at the ECOWAS, and all that. I mean, why they are not delivering on their mandate, right? You see situations where the citizens are suffering, they are in hardship, and a whole lot, people are being killed by these criminal elements and all that. But when they meet themselves in such forum, rather than looking at the issues and trying to see how to address the issues, because they are the ones, they are like the judge in their case, right? They are not being truthful. They don't tell the AU, the ECOWAS, what the issues are within their state. And so Nigeria, people from these citizens from these various countries, they begin to have this deficit they begin to lose trust. They need to begin to lose confidence in the governance structure of the states that we're talking about. For instance, if you look at what is happening in Cameroon now, are you telling me that if the military takes over in Cameroon, you want to blame the military for that? The man is about 90-something years of age. 92. It's high time for him to go and rest. But he's still out there trying to see how to govern the state. The military in that state, if they get angry and topple the government, do you want to blame them? Because the man is involved in AU, he's involved in the central region and all that. When he has to do with decisions, he's there to take the decisions, he's there to... It can't work like that. The citizens are becoming aware of their rights. They are becoming aware of that these things cannot continue the way it is. Their awareness, they are becoming very... some group of people within these countries are sensitizing their people, letting them know that, yes, these things cannot continue like this. We cannot rule for how long you want to rule, right? So coming back home in Nigeria, we have a president in place. People will say, okay, yes, he's doing well. But there are other people on the other side of the divide that are not comfortable with what they are saying, right? So you expect opposition and all that. And this opposition doesn't just come from just the political class. The military are out there. If they are okay with the system of government and they are comfortable with it, then you don't expect them to begin to think of a coup, right? The army, how much is their daily cash allowance, especially the soldiers that are in the battlefront? 8,500 naira until this current chief of army staff, that is now CDS, came to increase it to 3,000 naira.
But even last week, Senator Ali Ndume from Borno, he said at the end of the month, young soldiers that just finished secondary school and joined, most of them get between 50,000 and 60,000, not even up to the minimum wage of public servants.
Yes,
as take-home pay.
Yes. Can you imagine that? These are people that are in the battlefield, paying the supreme price. Right. Last week Friday, today is a week, a lieutenant colonel and 8 soldiers were ambushed and killed.
In Borno. Coming back from Bama axis.
Exactly. Right. And they were on a motorbike because the terrain where they went to, vehicles could not get in there. They were on a motorbike and they were ambushed. So just imagine the sacrifice that they put out there. And their salary is less than the minimum wage. Between 2021 April to 2022 August, do you know how many soldiers we lost in this country as a result of ambush? Approximately 750. 16 military bases were attacked during that period, about 18 months. From April to August, 18 months, 750 soldiers were killed.
This was like 2 years ago,
yes,
from the estimate you are giving,
yes,
2022.
So the point I'm making is that these soldiers, these officers are there, because we are out here, we don't even have an idea how many of them are killed, right? And they are less paid, They are not motivated. So I'm happy that some couple of days ago I saw that the National Assembly are trying to see how to compare notes between what is paid here and what is paid in South Africa and other countries across the shores of this country. Now they are trying to see how to amend so that they should be paid well, right? Because we can't have them being killed on daily basis and their remuneration, their daily cash allowance is less about 3,000. What can 3,000 naira do?
It is believed that no matter how bad democratic government is far better than military government, and they tend to be holier than thou. But by the time they even get there, they turn out to be another set of dictators without actually meeting the expectations of the citizens. Do you think that even in the assumption that okay, there was something, are they better in any way? Because looking at the budget that went into the military establishment between 1999 is staggering.
You see, some Nigerians will argue with you that they don't believe in that axiom. Some of them, if you go to the street and conduct an interview, some of them out there will tell you that they prefer a military regime, right? Because we spend so much in this democracy. In 2023, how much was the budget of INEC to conduct an election that some candidates were not comfortable with the outcome that they had to approach the court? About 304 billion naira was used to conduct 2023 election. We're looking at 2027. So it means that we're going to see we're going to spend more. Those maybe 400.
Maybe times 4.
There's a possibility. So what I will say, the dividends of we spend so much in this democracy. Look at the convoy of the Senate President, look at the convoy of the Deputy Senate President, look at the convoy of the Speaker and all that.
But that is democracy for you.
That's democracy. I agree. But there are countries that practice the same democracy that they don't even spend as much as we spend. So why are we spending more? If we borrow this type of democracy from the US, does the US have a Senate President? They don't have a Senate President. The Vice President is the Senate President. So you have cut that part of that cost, right? So why is our own different, right? So if we really practice this democracy where we went to copy it from, why don't we paste it the way where we went to copy it from? So the point I am making is that if you go out there and you put up this question and all that, some Nigerians are out there, they'll tell you that they prefer military regime.
Well, what of you, if I ask you, which one do you prefer?
I prefer a civilian regime. I prefer that. But if the fact that I prefer a civilian regime, we should cut cost of governance. We should cut it down because we're spending too much.
Now, why are we taking the blame? I mean, two parallels now. Some people are taking the blame to the table of the politicians, the executive, judiciary to some extent, and the legislature. But some are taking the blame to the military, going by the way and manner some military officials. You know, when you see a captain, at the time I was reporting from there, some bribe their way to be taken to the northeast, despite the crisis, because of the fortune they made. So don't you think we should blame them for actually weaponizing the insecurity that is bedeviling us now?
Yes. You see, unfortunately, we have allowed politics to have its way when it has to do with security. And I take it from the executive. For instance, we have 50 ministers in this current cabinet of Mr. President. Out of the 50 ministers, we have about four key ministries that has to do with security. We have the defense, interior, police affairs. Which of these ministers have professional security background? None. Politics. We have allowed politics to dominate that scene.
Which shouldn't be.
Which shouldn't be. Bring it down to the military and even the police and all that. Some of these postings, they're not professionally done. We find square pegs in round holes within this institution. I'm telling you, some people are posted to offices where they are not supposed to be. Look at the DG of NYSC, the last lap of former President Buhari's regime. He was appointed. He didn't last there for up to 6 months. He was removed. He wasn't performing his duties as a brigadier general professionally. Those honorary NYSC, he couldn't handle. And we have a whole lot of them in one position or the other. I don't know if you are aware that there's a classified document from the DSS in Akure to the military in Akure that is on the social media space.
It leaked.
It leaked. Talking about potential ISWAP attack.
But don't you think it was deliberate? Because you
Why wouldn't it be deliberate? We have saboteurs in the system. They make money from these things. Between 2009 to date, 12.6 trillion naira was awarded to the Ministry of Defense. Do you have anything on ground to show? Boko Haram move by foot to attack soldiers in their military base. We don't invest in the technology. There's those surveillance equipment that if a Boko Haram member that is coming on foot to the military base, the soldiers should be aware, courtesy of technology.
Okay, now beyond the purported coup thing, is there a nexus between what happened also and the recent surge of attacks on military population and even civilian population? Because we are still counting losses of what happened in Borno, where Dikwa, Mafa, Gajibo, and then Kataroko in Yobe State were attacked. You
see, there's a lot that is not adding up. There's a lot that is not working. And as a government and as security agencies, there's a lot that we need to do. Right. Now, are we investing in technology? The manpower, do we have adequate manpower? As I speak to you, the military, Army, Air Force, Navy put together, we have the workforce. It's about 230,000. And don't forget that in this 230,000, the workforce for Army, Soldier, Army, Navy, and Air Force put together. And when you retire from the rank of a Major General above, you are entitled to minimum 2 soldiers. Either they will serve as the driver and orderly. Meanwhile, when you go to their houses, they have more than 2 soldiers. So imagine the number of generals that we have that are retired and the ones that have been taken to serve this purpose. So how many do we have left to fill
the void?
Exactly. So there's a lot that we need to do. We need to go back to the drawing board.
All right, thank you very much. We'll go on a short break. Viewers, don't go away. We'll be back shortly. If you are just joining this Daily Politics on Trust TV, do well to follow the conversation across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. Earlier, we stated that we're hoping to have Brigadier General Sanyuku Kashika Usman retired to join us in the studio. And we are lucky he's here. General, welcome.
Thank you and good evening.
Yes, Dr. Steve led Foundation, because the main topic of the day is about the reshuffle by President Tinubu. Does it have anything to do with coup? Of course, they said a general is always a general. You have an insider knowledge, maybe. You are smiling.
Yeah, what I want you to understand is that look at the constitutional provision, particularly section 217, 218, the powers of the president. It affects the appointment of service chiefs. So the president is an executive president and he is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He reserved the right, the privilege and discretion to appoint who he deemed fit to head the armed forces or any of the branches of the armed forces.
Dr. Steve told us this. He's an outsider in a way, even though he's an expert in the security environment.
You know, I can understand where most people are coming from, especially those of you in the media industry. Given the prevailing circumstances in the country, the announcement, deficit of trust, you know, between the public and government in most instances. So whenever you have such instances, there will be conspiracy theories and all the rest of the thing. But far from it, this is something that almost everybody knows. As a matter of fact, the announcement ought to have come even a month ago also. If you look at it, this government is on its midterm, and the service chiefs office, except for the newly appointed chief of defense staff. You know the circumstances that brought his appointment. Unfortunately, made his soul, General Lagbaja, rest in peace. And I think the appointments are strategic, well thought out, and it is aimed at repositioning the armed forces more so if you look at the bottlenecks and all the rest of the thing. And given the seniority and the wealth of experience of those coming on board, smooth transition. And I think it's something that people should even learn and emulate, because way back, the armed forces of Nigeria have been subjected to its transformation program for 15 years. You know, programming it or repositioning it for constitutional governance and all the rest, subjecting itself to civilian control. And there were doctrinational changes, a lot of training, professionalizing and all the rest. That when it comes to instances of this nature, you will even have difficulty in choosing the right person to choose. Not because almost everybody is equally well experienced, well trained.
Do we have deficit now? And again,
it is not the issue of deficit, rather it is something that I am opening your eyes to the fact that look at the transition. Now, the newly appointed chief of army staff, chief of defense staff, for instance, let's even, had been a chief of army staff, had been a general officer commanding. So he's in a better position, and of course he's a member of the 39th course. So
and that's only a day.
Yes. So automatically you look at it, you know, so moving from chief of army staff to now chief of defense staff, having a clear understanding of the security landscape and what the armed forces,
even those that are going out,
of join. I am coming to that. Now, so we look at the service chiefs, Navy, 40th course, Air Force, 40th course, except for the Army, 41st course. But then you look at his level of his seniority and the wealth of experience garnered over time. So these are the kind of things that should occupy your mind rather than these conspiracy theories. And if somebody is being accused of such heinous crime in school, the next thing is handcuff.
Is it that there was nothing like that?
But you have seen the statement.
People are saying,
You
and
have
I
seen
told
the
Doctor
statement.
that most likely
And the
they are
government will
actually
not waste its time by the
taking
time
their
you are insubordinated or you are mutinous or talk less of, being involved in coup. It's a very serious and grievous allegation.
Okay,
for somebody who has
Doctor, I wanted to ask.
So basically, that's what I want you to understand.
Okay, during Buhari, we had service chiefs that were there for God knows time, and they even got an extension. Why now, just after 2 years, and then when we had some grapevine, then after denials, counter denials, affirmation, as I said earlier, now we have these changes. Do you think the military, or all of you, general, that you will convince Nigerians that it's actually a normal transition?
Well, it's left for you to ask government that question. But the truth is that the facts remain constant. They have spent 2 years. And I was talking about bottlenecks. And the fact that you keep on recalibrating and repositioning to make sure. And I told you about issue of professionalism and all the rest. But people are free. But the facts remain the way they are. But everybody is entitled to his or her own opinion. So what I want you to understand, I think the most important thing here is that I think is to wish them well. I'm talking about both the outgoing and the incoming. And let us have, the best of intention towards them and see how best we can support and encourage them. More so, if you look at the recent happening, especially in the theater, surprisingly, overwhelming Nigerian society, particularly you, the media, seems to be oblivious of these unprecedented successes in Dikwa and all the rest. You had been in the theater.
I saw chain of vehicles completely raised yesterday. And you had the governor, Baba Zulum, just yesterday, expressing, today, because he went to Mafa today, expressing shock and disgust that there was intelligence and all that. How could Boko Haram terrorists come with, GPRG, with drones,
you see,
and sack military formations and attack the civilian population? Maybe, Mr. Steve, could that be also a factor to the sudden change that we saw today? Even though you both said, of course,
I had no idea Stephen is coming to this place, so I just seen so don't even.
Well, I was shocked. Yeah, I knew that. But it's like you
know where I was coming from.
But we called you.
I was elsewhere.
Yes.
Granting an interview, then I had to be in the program.
I said, look at what happened in Borno, because I caught, with due respect, the general when he said we are oblivious or we deliberately keep aside the success is being reported. What happened yesterday in Mafa, Dikwa, and Katakwa, Inyobe, among other places, it shocked almost every other person. And it's a sign of failure, in a way. I don't know.
Yes, but you can't take away the fact that it's not a sign of failure. In as much as there are certain efforts that they have made that we must commend, right? But even if we commend them in doing what they are doing, and when we see areas where we need to say one or two things with regards to the failure, because for me, intelligence is good understanding, right? Because whatever happened in Bruno started by mere information that went through a process, and it was established that yes, there are tendencies or potentials of this attack. You see, unfortunately in Nigeria, and I think it happens everywhere in the world, criminals, whether we like it or not, they are always ahead of our law enforcement agents. Because when they sit and plan, very rare that information gets to law enforcement agents for them to go and see how to avert or see that it doesn't happen. And when we talk about the crime triangle in this, we talk about the desire, opportunities, and the reward. What government and security agencies, and even the civilian population, because they're also security managers, when you see something and you don't see, you have also failed in that regard. Look at the recent success in Kababulu, the troops that arrested some bandits that were treating gun wounds. A local saw them and reported and passed the information to the troops, and they went and carried out an arrest. So the fact is, all of us are involved in this, right? But there are some persons that are saddled with the constitutional responsibility. The government, the troops, and all that. They have the constitutional responsibility to see that these things don't happen. I'm not expecting a Ethiopian society where everything must be perfect, right? But the efforts that they are making to see that there's drastic reduction in the rate of crime, in the rate of all these attacks we're talking about, right? We cannot be in this country where criminals, non-state actors are using drones against the state. The governor of Borno State have said it time to time number, right? There was a time that the governor talked about an intelligence that he got. The next thing, a minister of the Federal Republic challenged him and said those informations were not true. After all that, we saw attack. But the practice, there's need for us to rejig the system. And that is what the president and commander-in-chief has done. These new service chiefs that are coming on board, they are going to come with new ideas. Just the way General said, they are ably qualified to man these offices and all that. So the ideas and innovations and strategies and tactics that they will bring on board, let us see. I think at this point in time, we expect them to roll off their sleeve because a lot is out there for them to come and do.
Okay, before they do that, General, what is the implication? Now, the new chief of army staff, set 41, right? What happens to those, I mean, that still active, his senior and all that, especially maybe course 39, course 40, and maybe even a significant number of course 41?
I think there is time-tested custom or tradition and procedure. And I talked about strategic and well thought out appointments as well. Particularly in the army, you look at his seniority. I think all in all, among the major generals, I think he's number 40 or 39 as the case may be, I'm not too sure. But the truth is that it will only affect mostly those 39 corps, which are the corps mates to the newly appointed Chief of Defense Staff. And then 40th corps. But then, of course, the Chief of Defense Staff is 39 corps. So automatically, there are also vacancies and all the rest. And then the 41st corps. And among the 41st corps, he is number 1. So basically, these are the issues. But again, it has always been known to any officer or even soldiers, the very day you enter the academy, or you enter depot, especially at the halls of the station when you are leaving, they say, remember, so much as for the officers, you all have the general ranks in your pocket. It's left for you over the next coming 35 years or so to find it or thereabout. But you know that so much as you enter, it is a hope and prayer that you have to leave. So when the time has come, and like I talked about the
Nigerian EFCC, you sure you will not carry this your EFCC eagle go for eye clinic for medical checkup? Maybe they give it medicated glasses because it's like, you know, they see corruption allegations of politicians and big men. Now only Yahoo boys na to na eagle they look. Make the cuckoo go check in eye, give them eye drop because ori buruku lenche. My country people, you know, say there is level of corruption and crime, criminality will go happen for country. It go become normal. The citizens of that country will become used to it. That is corruption. Don't master them. You know, see, unfortunately, that is the Nigerian reality. For this country, they compare corruption with corruption. Some Nigerians go even tell you, we don't get so much used to corruption. Some people go tell you, when you reach there, when it be your turn, if you like, no use your head, no do your own, and now you be the first person where they there. If they say this person thief like this, they go say, person they way don't thief past that one, no be today the thing start. And once a country reach that level, it will take a revolution of not just the reasonable, but the reasonable and courageous. Because you must be reasonable and courageous for us to revolt for the right cause to reset leadership and systems in this country. If not, we go end up with the Nigerian situation, which is what? Survival of the fittest. Justice will be left for the highest bidder. If you don't get connection, you are on your own. It is an animal farm. So when I know say for some days now, Moyele Sowore and Wike, Sowore, they release some allegations, all of that they put out there against the current minister for FCT. Do you know that most of the information where they put out, they are not new. They have been there before. They are known to the public and including everybody waiting for government. But the so-called anti-corruption agencies, EFCC, ICPC, Independent Corrupt People, and other offenses, related offenses, they never see them to investigate. What are some of the allegations? And Nigerians, instead of to focus on the matter as it affects our life, some people go even the way they go, they abuse the show. Nigerians do not know that even when you think, say, maybe you know like two people where they quarrel, you should think of how what is going on affects your life and insert it yourself in that equation. What are some of the allegations where they raise against the current minister for FCT? Number one, remember during the Channels TV interview where Seun Okinbaloye asked him, say, you are driving a Rolls Royce, your convoy, they get power bike for front and all of that. How did you get money to buy a Rolls Royce? The honorable minister said that he is not from a poor family. That even when he did for university, he was driving a Benz because his father was a manager of a company. Your father was a manager. Continue. Allegations of giving land as minister to your children in the name of your children, parcels of land, be hectares of land. The children are not Ghanaians or Japanese, they are Nigerians. If they go get land, they will get land in Nigeria. All right. Allegation of properties owned in the United States, in the state of Florida, multiple properties. Honorable Minister response, I don't know anything about the property. My wife is a U.S. citizen. My children are U.S. citizens. They have their own property there. Anybody should show. Minister for FCT. Your wife is a US citizen, and nobody talks to make person no own property. But do not forget that that same wife is also a sitting judge on the appellate court of Nigeria. They don't move up. She was in the high court. She don't go appeal court now. And being a US citizen and a justice in the Nigerian judicial system, are there code of conduct documents where show say that there was a declaration of assets to know exactly how many assets you owned in a foreign country where you are a citizen, and that you also show how you pay tax in that country because you go to pay tax as US citizen, and also now that you are a chief or a justice in the appellate court of another country. So you see nothing wrong with it, even you being also a cabinet minister and your spouse in the Nigerian judiciary. Do you know that most of all the allegations where they raise, so, and what is the other allegation on the issue of INEC, voice note, voice recording will come out where they talk say that allegedly when you were governor, you were threatening INEC officials, and nobody thinks it is necessary to investigate to know that was somebody actually trying to undermine the electoral process and threatening anybody. It is not worthy to investigate. Do you know that most of the allegations where they raise, so they come under executive administrative corruption, and guess what? 50 to 60% of Nigeria's corruption is administrative. Inflation of government contract, budget padding, outright stealing and criminality from government. But till date, it is not worth investigation. Why? Because no be Yahoo boy or no be poor person. Now EFCC, Eagle, never see him. Recently, the British Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner, she resigned from office. You know why? Not be because he thief money, no. Not be because he carry money buy Rolls Royce. He buy property before even become Deputy Prime Minister. He pay tax, but he no pay sufficient tax. The advisor to the Prime Minister on ethics say, our investigation found that she acted with integrity but broke the code of ethics. Meaning there is a code of ethics. For Nigeria, which code of ethics will they do? Code of ethics, Oriburuku Lanshe. Oriburuku Lanshe, EFCC, and Nigerian government. We build a system that rewards criminality. Nigerians do not get used to this kind of corruption and criminality in the country, because this system will make everybody a victim at the end of it. And that is why, because the people they know say once you do it, you get people will go support you, their owner to pay people will go come online. They abuse those who are calling for accountability because they know there are no consequences for anything. This is not how a country should be governed. Look at Brazil, they protest for law where they don't bring, say, may they give immunity to their lawmakers. Nigerians, we will do the right thing after doing every other thing. A system or a nation where there is no accountability is a lawless society. And if you do not come together and fix it, you may just become the next victim of the misgovernance or the high-handedness or wickedness in that country. Congratulations, Minister for FCT. The God will do your own to come from a wealthy family. He will do it for other Nigerians. God bless you, EFCC, as una eagle. Oriburuku night when they do. My name is Peter for Nigeria.